Full stroke. One of the most important keys to make your shots more accurate and effective. But what we can do to make our stroke better and more consistent? There are actually 10 very important things which you need to consider because all of them can be your friend and also your stroke killer. Let's start with first very important thing from which we should start our considerations. Loosen your grip. And this is absolutely key moment and must know for every pool player who want to execute shots correctly all the time. We should avoid to hold our cue stick too tightly, as this will cause the muscles in our hand to become very tense, which in next step make our shots very hard. Additionally, if our grip is very tight, we will not be able to push our cue forward that much during the shot, which means that we will not be able to hit the cue ball with intended spin. The ideal case assumes that we hold our cue stick only with our thumb and two next fingers. The remaining fingers only serve to gently support our cue and do not play such a big role in our stroke. So you need to remember to hold your cue with relaxed grip to make your muscles in your hand ready for the shot. We need to move forward to discover another important thing that can have impact on your final stroke quality. Make pre-strokes. And this is actually only a small piece of much larger aspect, which is pre-shot routine, but it can highly help you to prepare your arm and cue to hit the cue ball accurately. When you step into the shot and your body is locked, then you should make some backward and forward movements of your cue stick, which look like warm-up. After these movements, you need to stop your cue tip right behind the cue ball to check whether everything is fine and you aim correctly. Then you need to pull your cue back to make backswing and hit the cue ball. In my opinion, this is very important behavior right before the shot, because it can significantly build your confidence and prepare your muscles to execute clean and smooth shot. With pre-strokes and relaxed grip, we can move to another important key. Do not press your cue to your chest. And you won't believe how important aspect it is and how it can affect your stroke quality. When we make pre-strokes, then our cue stick touches our chest, which is very nice because we have another point which helps us to stabilize our cue. But we can't press our cue to the chest too much. And we will notice the consequence of this thing when right after the backswing, we move our cue forward to hit the cue ball. If we press our cue stick too hard, then during executing a shot, our wrist will hit our chest, which is something like blocker. And this highly limits the mobility of your arm, which in next step affects the effectiveness of your shot. So in this case, we should use our chest only during pre-strokes and backswing to stabilize our cue and make sure whether it moves straight. But when we make forward motion to hit the cue ball, then you should avoid to push your cue to your chest to open more space for your grip and wrist to finish your stroke with nice follow-through. But if we talk about backward motion of our cue stick before we hit the cue ball, then we can find another important thing. Adjust your backswing length. And this is very underrated aspect, and I can see many pool players who make long and deep backswing all the time, regardless of the type of shot. This may look cool, but trust me, this is not true. We should adjust our backswing length depending on what speed and spin we use and what type of shot we execute. And for example, if you need to play long draw shot to cause the cue ball to come back, then we should make longer backswing because we need to hit the cue ball very low and apply more speed. But on the other hand, if we face short distance shot and we are hitting the cue ball with low speed, then we don't need to pull our cue back that much, because it can highly affect the final point where we hit the cue ball. So you should always remember to adjust your backswing length to the type of your shot to increase chances that you will hit the cue ball accurately. Less speed and spin, use shorter backswing. More speed and spin, use longer backswing. And actually, we need to stay with our backswing because there is one more very important thing. Don't make a long pause during your backswing. If we want to execute our stroke with correct motion, then we shouldn't make too long pause after the backswing. This can significantly ruin what you have prepared earlier, but doing pre-strokes. Transition between backward and forward motion of our cue stick should be very smooth and we shouldn't stop our cue. And if we look closer at snooker players, then we can see big difference because very often they use longer pause to create more precision. But in pool games, situation is different because we don't need such huge precision and there is some margin of error and players do not use longer pause to make their strokes smoother. And right after the backswing, we need to push our cue forward to hit the cue ball, and during this motion we can find another common mistake. Do not twist your wrist. And this is another extremely important thing and in most cases can highly affect final point where you hit the cue ball. Very often I can see players who during forward motion of cue stick right after the backswing twist their wrists. And this is very bad behavior because during this motion our cue deviates from the straight line of our shot, which in most cases results that we are hitting the cue ball with unintended side spin. During pre-strokes and backswing everything is fine, but then when we push our cue forward, then our wrists make very strange movement and we should definitely avoid it. Our wrists should be aligned parallel in relation with our forearm all the time during backward and forward motion to allow our cue to move straight. If we talk about forward motion of our cue stick, then we need to pay attention to this aspect. Do not stop movement of your cue stick after hitting the cue ball. And this is very important thing which can highly affect physics of the cue ball after the shot. If we are hitting the cue ball, then we should continue motion of our cue stick, which going deep forward. And this motion is called follow-through, and we should do this with correct timing. To discover the biggest difference, we need to see how cue ball behaves during same shot with same spin. But in first scenario we are hitting the cue ball very hard, and we stop motion of cue right after contact with cue ball. But on the other hand, we are hitting the cue ball using less speed, but this time we push our cue forward and cue ball going completely different. Using follow-through, we can cause the cue ball to go with deeper spin, what of course results with better cue ball control with very high feeling. If we stop this motion or we make very strange backward movements during the shot, then our stroke is broken and cue ball behaves in a completely different way. So in this case, you should always remember to push your cue forward to make your stroke more effective. In most cases during follow-through, players drop their elbows down and this helps them to push cue forward much more. But when we push our cue forward, then we need to change one small thing which will have huge impact on your stroke effectiveness. Loosen your forefinger. And this is extremely critical key to develop perfect forward movement of your cue stick, and many players do not realize how it can change their stroke. As I said before, when we make pre-strokes, then we should hold our cue using thumb and next two fingers. But when we start forward motion and we make follow-through after hitting the cue ball, then we should relax and slightly open our forefinger. This is absolutely magic tip, and you definitely need to check it in your practice, because it highly helps you to finish your stroke with stride and deep motion. Very often players hold their cues correctly using only 3 fingers, but then during shot they squeeze their cues using thumb and forefinger. When you start to move your cue forward, then you need to hold it using your middle finger and open forefinger during continue motion. And trust me that this behavior will significantly help you to produce stride cue action and make your stroke smoother with high accuracy. When we are hitting the cue ball, then in moment of contact we can find another interesting thing. Do not lift your cue up during stroke. And this is very popular behavior, and very often I can see players where they lift cues up, especially during high-speed shots. This is absolutely useless thing and can only affect your final stroke quality. When we start to move our cue forward, then right in moment of contact with cue ball, our cue going up, like we want to hit ourselves in our face. Our stroke is once again broken, and we should avoid this movement and move our cue leveled all the time, because only with this behavior we can apply correct spin to the cue ball. And finally, we need to discover last but equally important thing which can highly affect your stroke quality. Do not lift your body and stay still. Very often I can see situations where players moves up their upper bodies right in moment of contact with the cue ball. This behavior is in most cases caused by high pressure during stressful moments of the match, or in situations when we are not entirely sure of our shot. Everything is fine during pre-strokes, but when we are hitting the cue ball, then our body going wild. Please stop it. You should stay still and do not move your body during the shot. It won't help you in any way and can only affect your stroke quality. When you step into the shot, then you need to lock your body and do not make any unnecessary movements, because only with this behavior you can achieve best possible results. I hope you enjoyed my classification of 10 stroke killers, and if you found this lesson helpful and you appreciate the quality of my content, then please consider leaving a thumbs up for me and hit the subscribe button to stay updated with my new video productions on channel. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next lesson. Take care.